a cocaine shipment of this magnitude could not have entered, moved through, or been hidden in Liberia without major failures in our security system. It is also difficult to imagine such an operation taking place without possible assistance, protection, or complicity from people inside institutions responsible for protecting our borders, ports, coastlines, roads, and our communities. Moving drugs on this scale requires planning, money, transportation, storage, and of course, protection. This is the work of a well-organized, well-coordinated criminal networks, not small-time hustling criminals. Stand therefore renews its call for a truly independent and fearless investigation to determine whether any security officers, government officials, politicians, or private individuals may have helped, protected, ignored, or benefited from this vast cocaine operation. No institution should investigate allegations that may involve its own officials. Liberians must also understand that this seizure may not be the whole story. Large drug cartels often devour and store their shipments in different places, in different locations, to avoid losing everything if one shipment is discovered. If that is the case here, the drugs already seized may only represent part of what has entered or is passing through Liberia, meaning there is a whole lot left to be discovered or seized. If criminal networks are able to move drugs worth hundreds of millions of dollars through Liberia, then the country faces the real danger of becoming a drug economy. And ultimately, in a corporate, well-organized crime grows stronger than public institutions. For this reason, STEM demands an immediate, independent international investigation involving trusted foreign law enforcement and anti-drug experts. Reports that some officials connected to the Liberian National Police, the National Security Agency, and other institutions, state institutions, have reportedly been questioned or have been detained, illustrating the need for professional outside investigators. Those who may be connected to the case should not be responsible for investigating it. Anyone found to have participated in drug trafficking, protected traffickers, neglected their duty, or abused public office must be suspended, investigated, prosecuted, and, if convicted, punished according to law, because no one should be above the law regardless of status, office, influence, or wealth. STEM also reminds the Bouaké administration that this reported $317 million cocaine seizure must not overshadow the unresolved $19 million cocaine case announced on July 8, 2026. The Liberian people still deserve to know who planned the operation, who financed it, who protected it, and who benefited from that operation. An independent investigation must determine whether both seizures are connected. This drug crisis is no longer a warning for the Liberian people. It is rather a national emergency, threatening every Liberian family, man, woman, and child. It threatens our youth. It threatens our security. And it threatens, ultimately, our justice system and, by extension, the future of every Liberian citizen, man, woman, and child. Stand calls on President Joseph Boakai, the legislature, the judiciary, civil society, religious leaders, and Liberia's international development partners to act now. Liberia must never become a safe haven for drug cartels, drug traffickers, corrupt officials, or anyone who profits from destroying the lives of our people to benefit from the drug trade. Stand. We continue to demand the truth until every person involved, whether foreign or Liberian, rich or poor, powerful or ordinary, is identified, investigated, and brought before the law on his or her needs. Thank you. As I stay open for further questions resulting out of this very important press conference.
Mr. Morlu, I'm Giant Tumanara from this time. You kept calling 370, and today it was, a few days ago, it been announced that it's 370. How can you call it different?
You said it was been announced
recently, it's 370.
17?
Yeah.
What I got from I think that was pronounced by an official of government on the BBC Global Network service. So I'm simply quoting what the Liberian government official has unveiled out there about the magnitude of the enormity of the drug bust, which is equivalent to around anything from 318 to 317 million United States dollars. And that is troubling because even if it were just $10, Liberia must never be a safe haven for drug trafficking. Liberia must never open a corridor or open its corridor for transnational drug trafficking that will ravage our country, that will disrupt the sovereignty and undermine our institutions and throw our country into chaos and anarchy.
So, not my question. So you're calling for independent international investigator. If your call is not being heard, what will be your next question?
But the Boakai government has no other option but to prosecute individuals that, in my view, are the key masterminds of the drug trade in Liberia. It is what we are dealing with is not the trafficking that was done by small-time criminals. We are dealing with a network of professional drug traffickers, smugglers that are organized, that are sophisticated, and they are not working in isolation. What we are dealing with might be an outcome of a professionalized drug trafficking network that is run by a cartel that is operating with collusion to senior government officials. So to get to the bottom of this particular network or this trafficking or tragedy, it's not possible to indict small-time criminals without indicting individuals that are responsible for colluding with these foreign domestic actors. And they are in government offices, they are not in the jungles, they are here. So I don't see how President Boakai, in his conscience, will allow our country to disintegrate into an accountable republic. We are very close to that. And it is our responsibility as civil society actors to mount reasonable pressure, to mount extreme pressure that is within conformity with our constitution, to have the president to initialize a process that will bring all individuals, foreign, domestic, regardless of status, regardless of creed, regardless of religious background or white, to be brought to justice. Each of the cartel members that might be responsible for the drug trafficking network will be brought to justice on their knees. Trust me, we will not allow Joseph Boakai to sleep in peace as far as pressure is concerned. If each of these individuals are responsible for throwing us in a very negative international limelight, is brought to justice.
My name is Roland James. I report for Cool FM. Recently, you led a group of citizens taken to the street to demand accountability from the government over the burst of 19.2 million dropped at the Roberts International Airport. A few days later, the government has discovered a job worth over 300 million. He said that the Liberian people expect another protest from Stain demanding the government on accountability towards this.
Well, as long as there are individuals that are polluting the corridors of power, as long as this drug trafficking network continues to be a clear and present danger to our country, there will always be countermeasures to ensure those responsible are brought to justice, even if it is the presidency. So we will not take protest on the table. Protest remains on the table, even though we announced during the last protest that we were now elevating to a much more serious approach to the fight against drug trafficking, corruption, etc. That would be on special public actions within the context of civil disobedience. But it doesn't mean that protest is on the table. Now, if we should, that's why Waka should not allow us to announce another protest. The three protest actions that were organized by Liberians through or Stain and student groupings were always about leave or leave giving an option. The next protest may not be that kind. The next protest could be calling for his resignation. And so we are nearing that point, and we've not announced that yet, but it is an option on the table, and we hope that Nyoma will take this very seriously, and I'm talking about President Waka, to bring to justice individuals in government that are colluding with drug traffickers to destroy the country's image and throw us back 100 years. I hope you take that very seriously.
Just a follow-up, you accused some members of the Liberia National Police, including the National Security Agency, of being involved with this drug bust. Don't you fear that you will be called over to justify your statement?
But I didn't just accuse, okay? An accusation within the Liberian jurisprudence does not constitute a crime. We've been calling for investigation of all the seed items of the drug trade. We didn't just accuse, we didn't just call for investigation. We published their images on billboards and flyers, banners, and using that to maximize calls for an investigation. We have not said anybody is convicted of drug trafficking. We've accused people, we've alleged that individuals within the national security apparatus may have to answer questions because it is improbable, it is impossible that you will be dealing with $400 million drug trafficking tragedy, and that's the combined total of the $2 billion drug and the $370 billion drug in total. It is inconceivable, it is in fact impossible that people will bring $400 million worth of narcotics, worth of cocaine, and that the national security apparatus is not aware. That's not possible because the cocaine didn't drive from space to Liberia. It has to pass through different border points, either through our coastlines, either by flight, or either through ships, shipping vessels. So how is it that our national security is claiming or pretending not to be aware that $400 million worth of drugs made its way to Liberia's coast over many years and that they are not aware? So this has to be a professionally executed, colluded, organized drug smuggling operation that must have been done in consonance or in solidarity with local or the top echelon of state security of members of our state security apparatus. So it is from that backdrop we've been pointing accusing fingers and logically demanding that government officials at the helm of these different security institutions be a part of the investigation. You cannot be head of a security agency accused of colluding with drug traffickers and expect to remain as an investigator. So that simply undermines logically, of course, factually the essence of your role and could taint the credibility of that investigation. So we've been calling for an independent investigation without these actors of institutions that are allegedly or perceived to have been either a part of the drug trafficking or control, or that they are security failures or failure of their responsibilities or their duties and responsibilities, we are left to this wanton tragedy. So and I think that call should be supported by all the various media, that those who are heading security agencies should not be part of the event. In the process, they should give room to an independent, credible investigators to get to the bottom of this process, to weed out individuals, whether they are at the top or the bottom, who are responsible for running this drug cartel. We are dealing with a cartel. It is not just one or two individuals trying to smuggle drugs. We are dealing with an organized, professionalized drug cartel. It is institutionalized. And a cartel can never function in isolation of senior government officials. So there are government officials either at the helm of the Liberian National Police, or at the helm of the Immigration Service, or at the helm of the Coast Guard, or even in the executive branch of government, or even possibly in Boake's own office, that are colluding with drug traffickers and profiting from this illegal trade that poisons our country, damages our children's future, destroys our youth to have individuals benefit, and we will not allow that. So if it continues, of course there will be countermeasures that will ensure that Liberia is rid of this menace called transnational drug trafficking.
So lastly, from my end, I'm concerned about, I'm seeing a writing behind you. Mr. President, stop sleeping. We want government officials in handcuffs. Like previous investigation on the $19.2 million cocaine seizure at the Rivers International Airport, you mentioned several other government officials accusing them of being part of the cartel. In this one, US $317.68 million cocaine seizure. Who are you suspecting? Who are the suspected government officials that should be placed in handcuffs?
I have not suspected anybody. It's self-explicit. Say the state where we are right now, that bureau needs to be rescued from the hands of Mr. Walker. He's killing the republic. I think he's overly sleeping and needs to wake up. And I don't think Walker is demonstrating leadership. Walker's presidency is compromising or surrendering our country. He's either surrendering our country to Guinean nationals at the northern border point, our sovereignty to Guinean nationals or to the Guinean army, or he's surrendering our sovereignty to drug traffickers. Now, that's not why he was made president. He came to the presidency through a rescue the country manifesto, but tragically the country is in collapse under him. So there's a need now to actually save the state. So this is the time to really save our state, our country, from the hands of drug traffickers. So we are not accusing anybody. We are calling for an investigation of individuals that are at the head of state institutions, security institutions, and we're calling for an independent probe to get to the bottom of this process, because we're talking $400 million cocaine trade. And we argue, and I don't think there's anyone out there in the public or even journalists that would disagree with us, that it is impossible for 400 million cocaine shipment to come to Liberia without the assistance of government officials. It's not possible. It's not possible. So how come the government under Joseph Boakai is taking serious steps to hold people accountable in the midst of the enmity of this tragedy? What is he waiting for? Joseph Boakai's continuous reluctance, continuous complacency is destroying our country and surrendering our coastline to drug traffickers, to transnational drug operatives. And it appears to us that there are state actors, corrupt state actors, that are the beneficiaries of this drug trade. So it is just logical that government officials are colluding with international traffickers for personal benefit at the detriment of our state and the image of our country. And Joseph Boakai must awaken now, or there may be rude awakening consistent with our constitution to mount more pressure. As I said earlier, we have not announced any protest yet, but should we announce the next protest, it's not going to be lead or leave. is going to be calling for Joseph Boyka's resignation. And should that protest be called, I can tell you this, I can promise you this, the day Liberians announce that and will come outside on that day, Joseph Boyka will resign with a very bad legacy because he's destroying our country, he's abandoning our sovereignty, he's surrendering Liberia to either Guinean nationals at the northern border point or to international drug traffickers that have destroyed the image of this country or internationally. Yesterday I heard about Liberia on BBC. We're talking $400 million drug shipment to the country. When you combine the total, and you are sleeping, and you still have your national security infrastructure intact, by now they should have all resigned to deal with the international auditors or investigators to get to the nitty-gritty of this tragedy. If you don't do that, then you might go down with a very bad legacy, because we will not allow him to destroy our country and turn this country into a narcotic or cocaine state before he leaves the state. We will rise up. Should that be inevitable, should that be necessary, to demand that he resigns as president, because we will not allow an 86-year-old man to destroy this country and destroy the future of your children, of our children, okay, before leaving the state to benefit key individuals in government who are corrupt, who are colluding with drug traffickers at the detriment of the state.
My name is John David.